Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Let's go with Curtis. So Curtis finally meets the mystery man, and turns out, alright, I need everyone to be sitting down for this. It's gonna come as a huge shock. You ready? He's his dad, right? Crazy. Yeah, everyone knew that he was his dad. Everyone knew that he was his dad. So him snitching to him like, I'm your dad, it was like, yeah, everyone already knows that at this point. But that really, I'm not gonna lie, I actually really did like that scene. I did, because when Curtis was mad and hurt all at the same time. You know, he was mad and he was hurt, and he literally unleashed it on him. And the dad was like, yeah, well, maybe I deserve that. I was like, maybe. Well, there's no maybe to that. Did you not? Did you not hear everything that he said about all the pain, the trauma, that him and his family had to grow up with because you weren't around? Like, are you kidding me? Now, the whole time while he was not there telling him off, I was like, well, what is a good reason of why he just left? What is a good reason why he just left him all those years? Now he says it's because it wasn't safe. And I mean, at this point it's like Curtis is so mad and angry that he doesn't even want to sit there and hear him out. And I don't get me wrong, I can't blame him. I can't blame him for how he feels. Um and I know when he calms down and stuff like that, and he's a little more level headed, he'll sit there and ask those questions of why. Because that's gonna be one hell of a story. Um That's gonna be one hell of a story to sit there and try to explain that. I mean, you were going like, what were they, like 5 or 12 or something like that? I mean, the fact that he can't even sit there and remember your face says a lot. So whatever it is, it must have been pretty. It must have been pretty bad. Must have been pretty bad. Gladys, 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 Gladys. Watching the scene with Gladys, Sasha, and Brando, I feel like every time I start seeing scenes with Brando and Sasha, they just become more like, why are you on the show? Like, what do you bring to the show that is so amazing? Don't get me wrong, when they first started off as individual characters, they brought a lot to the show. They did. Sasha, even before she got together with Michael, it was a whole little minor love triangle between Kiki and that doctor that I can't remember his name. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was important and stuff like that, like throughout her storyline, and Brando was too. But the minute that you put those two together, it's like, I don't know. Anyway, they invited Gladys to go to the art gala. And of course, Kip was there. And she ran right into Kip. And I'm just sitting there thinking, so why? I don't understand how this plan was ever supposed to work. This guy literally, it's not like Gladys was gonna get so scared that she was just gonna leave town, and Kip was just never gonna, like, I mean, literally sometimes they have meetings at the Metro Court where he works at. I mean, it's not like this guy comes into town for a little bit, does his thing, and then it's like, all right, cool, I'm just get there and move on to the next town. No, he still lives and works in that same town. So I know that this plan was brought up by good intentions. Very good intentions. But this is one of those things where it's like, all right, when you got Maxie and you got Brooklyn making plans about trying to do something, it turns out like this. They try to solve the Gladys problem, so they hire a local actor that works and lives in the area that you're supposed to be, since they're trying to intimidate. So yeah, um she sees him, and she's like, she starts asking a bunch of questions. And at this point, whatever leverage that Brooklyn had is out the window. I mean, yeah, I did sit there and say on Friday or Thursday or one of those days that, you know what, at the end of the day, Brooklyn, why don't you just call Sonny and have Sonny take care of this? Hell, there, granted, there could have been 1,000 different ways that they could have went about doing this, but just to solve the Gladys problem, even when she brung up Sonny, she was nervous. I guess she's just gonna sit there and act like that's just not an option. Which is gonna lead Brooklyn right back to square one. And speaking of Brooklyn, so Brooklyn is being at this point interrogated by Chase to sit there and go over the story again. So Brooklyn comes up with the same story, and Chase is like, "All right, this sounds good. It sounds a little bit too good, like too well rehearsed, too perfectly put together." So he still has suspicions of Brooklyn, and there's one point he was like, "I wish you wouldn't see me as a cop, but just saw me as a friend." And I'm like, Chase, what if there's a dead body that's involved in this? Are you just gonna turn off cop mode? Like, how does that work? Um, but he questions Brooklyn. Brooklyn gets defensive. She gives the same BS story, and then she starts to walk out. And Chase is like, "All right, I don't exactly believe you, but I'm just gonna let it go for now. Like for the next 20 minutes." Um, so at this point, Brooklyn knows that she's screwed on that end. She thought that she dealt with the Gladys problem, and well, she's gonna find out that she really didn't deal with the Gladys problem at all because it was a very piss poor plan. So, yeah. So Anna and Valentine, starts to interrogate that guy that got shot in the leg. That I don't remember his name, but he pretty much interrogates him Batman style. And then he comes in, he starts to interrogate the guy by threatening him his life by using some sort of needle and an air bubble, or whatever. And then Anna comes in there and kind of just takes over the interrogation. Now, to be honest, I was kind of like, um, Valentine already had it covered. I don't really understand why you came in there. I mean, I understood the whole good cop, bad cop thing, but I'm pretty sure, I'm like 95% sure he would have got the answers that they both needed. But for some odd reason, because I guess they want to make Anna feel important, um, like, all right, cool, let's throw her in there. So they got the evidence that they got the whereabouts of Peter that they needed. But at the same time, Scott was making a deal with Victor and putting pressure on Robert about the WSB and their dirty dealings and stuff like that, and how they don't want to come to the light of day, and if they sit there and just play ball, then they can all get what they wanted. Um, so Scotty, he makes the deal happen or whatever, and then Victor double crossed Scott, and he pretty much kind of locks him up because at this point, like, and I'm kind of standing there. I'm just like, damn, Victor. Because I stood there. I was like, well, if you were just like the guard, not just let him out, but locked up Scott, so you can tell that this guard was in his pockets. So I'm sitting there thinking, you could have left at any point in time. Why did you wait for it? Like, what was the point of waiting? I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, I mean, maybe he wanted to make sure that the deal went through. So, all right, cool. I don't really understand what Esmer's plan is. There's one point where Esmer is there talking to Trina's mom, and man, the way she comes across, like she's all like, "Oh, I'm looking at the gallery and I see this," and she's just being all fake like usual. But you're talking to her mom. You're not talking to like, I mean, granted, no one is really falling for her act, but like Portia was just like, You just actually had, and like a woman just sit there and just look at somebody like you're full of BS, and they can just see it, and they just give that look. That's the look that Portia gave. And after she left, Portia was like, "Yo, listen, you need to sit there and be careful with that one." Now I don't know what Esmer's plan is, but she has this whole thing where she's talking to Spencer about, there's still fireworks going on between Cam and Trina and stuff like that. So I'm just like, okay, Esmer, I don't. And there was a couple of times, even when they were like all together, and she just kept like saying things that would just make everyone feel uncomfortable. And I'm just like, what is your like? I want her to get to this end game, whatever her end game is, or let us know what her end game is, because it's just like she'll just sit there and just randomly say something. And people just like, what the fuck is wrong with her? Like, why would you say that for her? And then afterwards, she's standing there smiling, looking at Spencer like, oh yeah, those two got fireworks going on. And even Spencer's like, what the hell is wrong with you? But of course, at the same time, Spencer's kind of an idiot, so he's an idiot when it comes towards her. I don't, whatever. Um, yeah, I don't even know about that. Now, Ava isn't there talking to Nicholas, and she wants to know what's going on between, with Victor and stuff. She wants to pretty much make sure that whatever trouble Victor has gotten himself into, that it doesn't spill over into, their doorstep. As Nicholas is not there over here and Portia talk about, the guard or whatever, and make sure that, he doesn't really get any visitors, that he just gets his rest and stuff. Because, Nicholas is like, yo, I'll make sure this guy doesn't spill the beans. I don't want to get implicated in any of that crap. So he's just keeping an eye on things. But of course, he tells Ava that no, it's nothing to worry about. Everything's gonna be fine. I promise. You promise? Really? You screwed up when you said things that you promise. I don't really understand why is he keeping Ava in the dark for. I don't understand it. It's not like you're dealing with a woman that's like this perfect angel that's never done anything wrong. Like she's literally killed somebody, you know, point blank range. But yet you're sitting there trying to keep her in the dark because why? I feel like I'm missing something. I was sitting there talking about Trina, but she didn't really do much of anything except for walk around and was very proud of, very happy about the work that she did. I feel like a lot really didn't happen in this episode. And I mean, the only things that really majorly happened was Curtis Smith talking to his father, which surprised no one. I feel like I'm forgetting so much. I really do. I know it was an hour of an episode, but I felt like there wasn't a lot that really happened. It was like Brando and Sasha being there just didn't really do too much of anything except for the Gladys part, which knowing about Kep, and I already talked about that. But I think before I go, I want to sit there and just quickly talk. One second. I just want to sit there and talk about Jason or Steve. Um, there's a lot of rumors. Smith is saying that he's going to leave and, he's going to stay and he's going to leave. Like, there's a lot. I'm not going to sit there and name names, but there are certain people that are, here's the truth of the matter is, until the actor or the studio says that Steve is leaving, everything is kind of up in the air. It's all for speculation, and just take everything with a grain of salt, because there are people that are, they're saying that Steve is going to leave. Even though there's no confirmation that they're saying he's going to leave. Yeah, there's speculation, but there's no actual proof. And the reason why I sit there and say is because, when you're snippet, here's the thing. Tomorrow, they're gonna be snippets on Jason and Peter and stuff like that, and it's gonna be a great scene. But when I found out, that Steve might be leaving, it did play a part. It in the beginning it did play a part in how much I was gonna enjoy the scene or not. Like, oh well, Steve is leaving anyway, so it's like, why should I even bother to, get invested? But the truth of the matter is, we don't know. I mean, yeah, there's rumors, people are guessing, there's nothing to say, or there are sources and stuff like that, but until we actually know, um, I think we should just do the status quo. Just watch the show, enjoy it, enjoy the characters and stuff like that. And until we know more, you know, let's just kind of take everything with a grain of salt and not just believe um, everything that we're hearing, because it's not all fact. And um, I'll just leave it at that. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not just saying naming names or anything like that. But again, there's certain people that's like, oh, well, it's not confirmation, but, it's most likely. It's like, but it's not confirmation. So until there's confirmation, um, how about we just kind of not sit there and say it one way or the other? Because the truth of the matter is, it does kind of shape our views about how we watch, how we watch these characters and watch these scenes. And I give an example. So way back when I found out that Nathan was leaving, because he wants to sit there and do other stuff or whatever, there was a part of me that kind of wished that I didn't know. Because every time they kept to talk about Nathan's death and, Peter, you're responsible and blah, 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 it's like I so didn't care. Because I knew that the actor wanted to leave. So it was like hearing people sit to say, oh, my Nathan this, my Nathan that. I was like, I don't care. Because he chose to leave. So why should I care? And I feel like that's sort of the same thing, as far as the whole Steve leaving or not leaving and stuff like that. It's like, until we know for sure, let's just enjoy the scenes, let's just enjoy the show. I mean, at this point, we already know that Jack's leaving. And, there's a lot of people that's just kind of like, all right, that's cool, whatever. But with Jason and these scenes or whatever, they're like very intense and very dramatic, and we don't know what's going to happen, and that's kind of the thrill of it. It's just one of those things where it's like, let's just kind of live in the moment and just like watch how this stuff plays out. And then, when we know more about, his actual status, then we can kind of just go from there. Anyway, that's just my opinion about the whole thing. Anyway, I feel like that's about it. And again, I know I probably missed a bunch of stuff. So if I did, please feel free to write in the comment section below. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video.